Okay, everybody, welcome. Thanks for being here tonight for the Fearless Freedom team call. We're really excited to have Courtney Bell here. I was excited when I heard her. If you haven't done the 12 days of business or the 12-day new coach training, she did day 2. And when she talks about vision and goals, it was just really powerful. Her enthusiasm and just the way that she has, I probably know more of your story because of how it's been shared a lot, Courtney, but it's always been inspiring how I've seen pieces of it shared in different trainings I've done, but how you had a drive to reach your goals and you knew your vision and you went for it. And that's just, there's a fire and a passion in that I just think is really powerful for others to hear. So I'm really thankful you took the time to be with us. So a little about her. She's an 8-star diamond, 1-star in her second CBC and her spouse, so a combined 10-star. That means she's a really amazing leader. So for some of those coaches in here, they're like, what is a CVC? You'll learn all of that as you grow, but it just shows her ability to duplicate herself and others. She's a Success Club legend for 45 months, former teacher, mom of 2 boys, 2 and 4, and wife, like we were saying, to a college recruiting coordinator and swim coach. So I'm really thankful she took the time to be here tonight to talk to us. And we'll have some Q&A at the end. So if you have questions while she's talking, go ahead and type them in the chat. And then maybe towards the end, we can kind of hit them up. So I'm going to let you take over.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for having me, Kelly. It's so funny because as I was going through this whole process and people would ask me, what are you doing that's leading to success? And it was hard to really see, and it still is, to feel like I was doing anything special because it was just me, and it was just doing what I loved and just finding a platform that I could really do what I love to do without those boundaries. And I want to kind of take you back just a few steps so you guys understand my story and where I came from, and how that kind of, I think, got me here. But, I don't have any sad childhood story. I have an amazing I had an amazing childhood. I have 2 very hardworking parents. My dad runs a printing press, and he has since he was 15. My mom was home with us until we were middle school age, when she could leave us after school, and she went back to work. They were young parents, both high school educated only, and they raised my sister and I with, sort of, I think a lot of you might be able to relate to this, but that vicarious, we want for you to do everything that we didn't either get to do or actually do, which for them was college, because they always felt like if they had a college degree, they would have more opportunity, which it's hard to doubt that that's not true in the world that we live in, because many jobs require, at minimum, you at least have a bachelor's degree. And I always argue with my dad, because I'm kind of like, yeah, well, I had a bachelor's degree, but that still was barely paying the bills, But anyway, so, they instilled in us a lot of hard work and just, you can do anything, be and do anything you want to be without the whole millennial attitude behind it, but you're going to have to work hard kind of thing. If you want to do these things, that's awesome, but it's not going to come without a lot of hard work. So that was always instilled in me. And then also, I think, being a competitive swimmer, I was constantly in a growth environment in the pool, meaning I was constantly being challenged to, step it up. I had an incredible swim coach and mentor that really just didn't take excuses. He didn't give them. And I look back at his day, he was there for morning practice at 5 a.m. He was an accountant, so he worked all day. Even through tax season, he was on the pool deck until 9 p.m. Never late, never it's, when I think about this as an adult now, it's really hard to wrap my brain around. But he didn't give us any excuses. He didn't complain about being tired, and he did it because he truly loved it. He didn't need to do it. It wasn't a financial need for him. He loved mentoring, young athletes to become better people. And I'm so thankful for all those people in my life. And that really guided me. I knew education was exactly what I needed to do and where I needed to be. It wasn't even a question in my mind. I was going to college to become a teacher. I didn't go through that whole, I don't really know. I never second guessed it. I never doubted it. I had a plan. And I knew I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. I wanted to teach kindergarten or first grade. And I really wanted to leave an impact on those young lives and really mold and shape them. And so when I graduated college, I was teaching. I actually accepted a job at a university like child development center. So I was teaching preschool, like 18 months to 3. I had a classroom of 14 children, and I had a co-teacher. And that was really for me, and I think this also helps me a little bit in this setting, is that I didn't really want to go into the classroom alone. Like, I viewed myself as a good leader, but I really wanted a co-teacher. Like, I wanted to do things together. I just felt like we could do more together than I could do on my own. And I was terrified to be in the classroom by myself. Like, thinking about sending a 22-year-old, just like, here you go, here's, 25 6-year-olds. Like, that terrified me. So when the chance came to be in front of, a classroom with a co-teacher, we could kind of fail forward together, I was all over that. And there was I did my student teaching, they offered me a position. But it was in that process that I was given the opportunity to work with college students. So I had students coming into my class that wanted to be early childhood educators, just like I was. And I had to sort of mentor them. Like, I was the one who would say, yes, they did these things and check off their paperwork. But it was through those conversations with them that I just found working with adults was maybe really where I wanted to be. And that was the first time I thought, like, wow, I never saw this opportunity of education at the adult level. Like, I didn't know anything about student services, or, that wasn't ever exposed to me. I thought teaching meant like classroom teaching. So when we moved to the university at Buffalo for my husband to take his job, I got a job working with student athletes, and I was the learning specialist. And it was such a pivotal time in my life. That job was such a great opportunity for me to learn. That was a new position. They hired me. I had no experience with that job title, but I did great on my interview. They hired me. And my supervisor, who is still one of my best mentors to this day, he said, we've never had a learning specialist, so let's write the position together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But we failed forward together, and he trusted me. He gave me autonomy to figure out how to work with these athletes. I had about 30 high needs athletes on my, that I was responsible for helping, and of course coordinating like tutoring services and all these other things. But he trusted me, and that gave me such confidence to know that he was there if I needed him, or I needed support, or I needed advice, or I needed, him to catch me if I was falling. But he gave me the wings to fly. And that, I think, really helped me with my Beachbody business, because it wasn't about, like, I could hear him in the back of my head, like, no one's ever done this before. So you just have to kind of write your path and, fix it as it goes. But if you constantly have, their best interests in mind, you're always going to be successful. Like, if you're always looking out for what's in it for them and what their best interest is, you're never going to fail. And that has really helped me here. But here's where my story goes, where I'm going to get into the meat of this. But we left Buffalo. That was like my dream job. My husband got his dream job at Virginia Tech, which was our move prior to coming here. We were there for 5 years. And I took a $20,000+ pay cut. We're 2 teachers as it is, you guys. So to take a $20,000 pay cut was hard. I won't even say it was a hit to my ego, because as a teacher, you don't really go into education to make, a ton of money. You do it because you love it. But to take a $20,000 pay cut was seriously a big deal. And this was before kids, but even still, like, we weren't living a fancy life, but we really had to cut back a lot on things. Like, things started to get pretty uncomfortable. And my husband didn't take a pay cut, but he didn't get a pay raise. So we literally just took a $20,000 pay cut on our lifestyle. This was pre-kids. We're lucky not to have any school debt because of swimming, which is great for us. But, luckily with 2 teaching jobs, we could live comfortably. But I accepted a job, and I actually just posted about this on my business page yesterday. But I accepted a job pretty quickly down there that I knew I shouldn't have accepted from the second I said yes. But I accepted out of fear of being unemployed, out of fear of having to live on that my husband's very small income, out of fear that I won't find something that's a good fit for me. Because on paper, I knew this job was a good fit for me, but I knew the leadership was going to really be lacking. I knew there'd be zero room for growth. I knew I was being incredibly underpaid for my services. But I took it because I just was like, you know what, there's a chance, there's an opportunity, there are students here that need me. And by the end of the first week, I was on the phone in tears with my former boss, because I was like, I should not have taken this job, but now I'm stuck here, and I'm not going to walk away from it, because that's not what I do. I don't walk away from things. I've committed to them. I have to make this work. And he gave me some great advice, but literally by the end of the first week, I had reached the end of the internet. Like I had nothing to do. It's not like I was just being complacent and surfing the internet. There was literally like nothing for me to do. Like they were paying me a very small salary, but I can't even believe that somebody had a job in this office because there was nothing to do. And it was through that I really had some time to really think. But I got really lazy because there was zero expectations of me. I'm the go-getter. I'm the let's try this. And they would say, we did that 10 years ago and it didn't work. And I'm like, you did 10 years ago? Like those students like are all married and have children by now. Like, let's try it again. But they had gotten so complacent. And if you've ever been in a place where people are bored, it's ugly. People are angry. They're, I didn't recognize it as boredom at first. I actually thought that they were really unhappy people, which they might've been, but they were really just as bored as I was. I was in the dean of students office. I was like, listen, you've got to find me another job on campus. Like I am overqualified for this job. I know you know that. And he was like, oh, I know, Courtney, but we really wanted to just get you in the door. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm here and I'm about to leave if you don't find me something a little more challenging. My husband was like, I can't believe you went into the dean like that. And I was like, my parents taught me to advocate for myself, and of course I was respectful and, I wasn't like talking down on him in any way, but, they eventually moved me out to another job, which was a little bit better. I got pregnant with our first son and I was kind of faced with all these choices now. Okay, so this job is really boring. It doesn't require a lot of me. I'm put in a very small box. Like, here's your job. Do not extend yourself outside of that. You can help students in these ways, but you cannot do this. And so I wasn't even serving students in the way that I knew we needed to. I was working with students with disabilities and I was not helping them to find their way to get through college. I was just the paperwork person. Like, here's your paperwork, like really sad thinking if I was a parent of these students, I'd be really disappointed in the services that I was providing them. Like I would go home with that heavy feeling thinking these parents brought their kids to school and thought, they're good. Courtney's going to take care of them. But at the end of the day, I wasn't. I was just like, here's your paperwork. See ya if you need me. There was nothing for me to do. And that was just not the type of educator that I wanted to be. So after I had my first son, bored at work and not challenged, no growth environment, nowhere to go other than the option of finding another job, which was always a possibility. But my worry was, I was already spending 10 hours a day away from my son doing a job that I didn't like. So what was going to be, fear kind of set in a little bit. Okay, so what? Leave this job that doesn't require a lot of me because I'd kind of gotten lazy. I don't have to take work home. Maybe I get a new job, but the reality of that is that I may have to take work home. I might have to work nights, might have to work weekends, and I couldn't do that, especially with a husband that travels more than he's here. So I just stayed there, but it was at the same time I was following my uplines, Erin Garapi and Carrie Legault, and I knew them from growing up and swimming in New England, and they were sharing about Beachbody and like their workouts, and honestly, I only saw it as them taking care of themselves, about their fitness journeys. And I was like, good for them. Like, look at these ladies, getting healthy after having babies. And, I'm not a shake person, but good for them for sharing all these amazing things. And then one day, Carrie, posted her resignation letter from her teaching job. Now, mind you, it had been like a whole year of me watching and being invited to things and me just ignoring them because I wasn't a shake person. I didn't need home fitness. I didn't want to do home fitness. Like, who wants to work out in their living room? I'm social. I'm a gym person, And she posted her resignation letter from teaching. And it was at that point she opened my eyes because I no longer saw this as shakes and home fitness. I was like, this is my out. This is my opportunity to leave this job and find a way to provide financial, at that point I was like, how much money do I need to make just so we can survive? It wasn't going to be a lot. I wasn't chasing a 6-figure income. I was chasing replacing that income, maybe half of it. But I saw how happy they were and I saw how much fun they were doing it. And I saw how much value they were adding to others. And that's what really made me want this. They were in a growth environment. They were at Summit posting. So like that was in May. Summit was the end of June. They were posting their pictures, and it was at Summit I messaged them both in a group thread and said, I have no idea what you guys are doing. I don't know anything about Beachbody. I've never done home fitness. I've never even had a sip of shake. But when you get home, can we talk? Because I really just need to like hear more from myself what the heck it is that you guys are doing. So of course we talked to Aaron, and I made the decision then to go all in. You know, I was nervous. I was like, I don't want to sell stuff. You know, what will my friends think if I'm like selling shakes now? Because the whole thought of sharing on social media was scary to me. And I was somebody that was very active on social media prior to coaching. Like I've always shared things on social media. I enjoy social media. So that part wasn't as scary for me, but changing what I was posting about and weaving in this stuff into it was scary because I didn't want people to feel like I was just selling them stuff. And so what started for me was, you know, not really understanding that I knew this was a financial opportunity, but I didn't want to set myself up to just chase dollars. Like that wouldn't have brought any joy to me. Because while I was financially motivated to be able to maybe not have to go back to that job, I didn't want to just chase money. I wanted to chase helping people. You know, I focused on, you know, the helping part because that's what I'm good at, right? Like I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about sales, but I know how to help people. I know how to provide a good intervention plan. I know how to listen to somebody's needs, and I know how to implement a plan of action. Even though I know nothing about our products, I had to take away that part of feeling like I don't know what I'm talking about and replace that with, here's where I'm really good. I know I'm really good at helping people. I know I've changed a lot of people's lives just in a very different arena. Like my first class, those little 18-month and 2-year-olds, they're all turning like 15 this year, which is crazy. And I see like their birthday posts because I'm friends with their family. And I think about like the mark I left on their life at 2. None of this is any different. I'm just changing the audience in which I'm working with, right? So I focused on setting really small goals for myself to start. And I shared this in the vision video in the 12 days of business, but like, it wasn't about leaving my job. That seemed like so big and abstract, but this was going to distract me a little bit from how unhappy I was at that crappy job, because I was going to be able to do what I loved and pour my heart and soul into people while still working full time. Like this was filling my bucket. This was no longer making me like the bump on a log at work anymore. I was now like the excited person that was coming into the office every day because outside of when I was working, those little pockets of time were being filled with such amazing conversations and transformations happening and helping people get started, right? And it was building up my confidence. It was bringing back that me that I felt I had lost, you know, and I kind of tried to tell myself maybe it was motherhood that made me lose myself like that, but it wasn't. It was this lack of growth environment. And so for the first time I was back in that. So I set goals, and my coach was so patient with me, answering my 30 million questions. Like, I just ask a lot of questions. And it's my personality. I'm a sapphire ruby. So like, I don't think a lot. I'm very impulsive. I'm also the youngest child. So I think I just sort of act. And if it's not right, I go back and try to fix it. It's like, you know, when your kids have a new toy to put together, like I don't read the instructions. I like just dump out all the pieces and I start putting it together. And when I realize I don't know what I'm doing, I like hop on YouTube and watch a video and then I figure it out. Like that's just my personality. But I think in coaching, you have to have a little bit of that, you guys. Like, you know, don't have such a crazy plan that you set yourself up for success. I've got coaches that are seriously like, I'm working on my plan, my post of when I'm going to share I'm a coach. And I'm like, right. But in the meantime, 5 months have gone by and all those people have joined another coach because you haven't quite shared what you're doing yet, right? Like stop waiting and getting ready to get ready. Like just put it out there and be okay with the fact that it's not going to be perfect the first time you do it, you guys. It's not going to be perfect the second time you do it. None of us are here to be perfect, right? Like that's not what we promote and that's not what we do. We promote progress. So commit to making progress to that. And that's what I committed to. I'm going all in with my program. T25, Shakeology, my meal plan. Now at the time we didn't have containers. It was just like cleaning up my diet, like less beer, less wine, less, you know, French fries, like just be more conscious about what I'm putting in my mouth, move more, eat less. Like that was what I did. And I didn't have a huge physical transformation. I didn't have necessarily a lot of weight to lose, but I lost 11 pounds. And And I really just toned up. Like I looked like an athlete again. Like I loved the way I felt. I stood up a little taller. My smile was brighter. And I just committed to sharing that journey. And when I made the announcement in my first challenge group, my coach said, how many people do you want to help? And I said, well, gosh, like I would love to help at least 3 people and hit Success Club, So this was like my first full month of coaching, right? And she was like, all right, you've been sharing and you're getting results. And on the back end, I had been kind of chatting with people, of course, like the people that knew me and trusted me and would love me, it's like, get over your damn self. Like you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So like selectively choosing those people to sort of practice my invites with, because they were going to love me regardless. They have to. They're my best friends. Like I'm not going to let them not love me anymore. And they still love me and support me, whether they've joined me or not. I know they support me. And I made those goals. So she wanted me to really look at, how can we tie your goals into helping others, into things that maybe you need that might make your life a little bit easier, because we were living paycheck to paycheck. Now, we weren't we weren't poor by any means, but there was no extra money. There was never going to be a date night. Really, honestly, at the beginning of the month, it was like moving money around in funds to make sure nothing was overdrafted. Like that was just the life we had been living for a couple of years. And I was tired of living that. So I was like, okay, well, I actually, I really need new tires on my car. Like it's a safety hazard. I've been driving this car with bald tires for way too long, but we didn't have that $800. I have an SUV to put new tires on my car. And she said, how many people you need to help to get those tires paid for? And I was like, oh my gosh. Now at this time, you guys, T25 is $205 for a challenge pack, which, I was like, oh, that seems like so much money. I filled my challenge group. I had 26 challengers in there because I had amazing results and I was sharing about it. I was constantly sharing about it, and I was sharing my heart, not the what, but the why. I wasn't even talking about T25. I was just talking about the community and how I felt and falling in love with it. And you guys, walking into Honda and like paying cash for my tires was such a sigh of relief that gave me so much confidence to see what more this could be. Now, I know when I tell this story to Pearls, they kind of cringe because they're like, oh, like that's not about me anymore. But here's the thing, you guys, every single time I got into that car, I thought about those people that I helped, that are helping keep my family safe, right? Like I couldn't do it alone. This wasn't just a transaction. This was transformation. I was more committed than ever to making sure that those people safely got around to their families every day, and committing to that because they committed to me. They chose me. They had choices. They picked me. And really just, helping them, committing to that. And I did. And like, I think about like those, you'll never forget those first few challengers, I'd like to say I don't ever forget any of my challengers, but not everybody fully commits, and I'm sure I've forgotten a lot along the way. But I could tell you every single person in that challenge group, whether they fully committed or not, because it meant the world to me that they chose me, that they were ready to join me. They trusted me. The coach who knew nothing. You guys, I knew nothing. I didn't have any answers. They'd ask questions and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I would be on the FAQs. I would be on the team page asking questions, but I was coachable, you guys. And that's the other piece. You have to be willing to be coachable. You need to be willing to listen to the advice other people give you. You need to be able to take feedback with a grain of salt, knowing that your coach is giving you that feedback in your best interest, whether it be good or bad, because there were times I posted things and my coach was like, that's not you. Like I was following other people too much. And I started sounding like other people, and she's like, no, take it down. That's not you. And I'm so thankful we have that relationship because I don't want to not be me. I hope that when somebody runs into me in Punta Cana, I'm exactly the person that they would have pictured I would be, right? Like that's who you are on social media, not somebody else, you feel like you're supposed to be. But you guys have to figure out, and you don't have to know right away. So I'm giving the tire example, you guys, because at this point it hadn't really even dawned on me, like leaving my job would be an option or it would be something that was possible. Like that seems so far away, and not really understanding our compensation plan other than like direct sales. I didn't understand really the value of the team yet, like how you needed to grow your organization and help them pay for tires on their car to be able to build an organization strong enough so that you could be able to leave your job. So months went by. I continued to hit Success Club every single month because that was what my coach told me to do. She said, if you want to create a sustainable income, you need to be constantly helping new people. And so I committed to that, and I just continued to share my story. And we got pregnant with my second son in December, January-ish. And when I found out I was pregnant, I had like this total, oh crap moment. Like, how would we ever pay for 2 kids in daycare? Like, we can barely afford one. And I have a history of miscarriage. So we sort of tried let's just stop trying to prevent pregnancy because it's probably going to take a couple years. And no, I was pregnant pretty fast. And 2 years, our kids are 2 years apart, which was terrifying to me at first because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like so not ready for this. But it was such a blessing. And it was at that moment I knew I have control over not having to pay for daycare for 2 children. Like, I have the solution. I can do it. I need to just help more people, and I need to help my coaches help more people, you guys. And so that's the piece that I really want you guys to take away from this, is that you need to know what you're fighting for. And it doesn't have to, not everybody's here for money. Like, not everybody's here to, leave their job, so to speak, because I think my coaches get intimidated by that. They're like, I love my job. I said, that may not be your plan. And when I started, it wasn't really my plan either. I mean, it was, but I didn't know that it was possible. My plan was add value to other people, help people every single day, build a tribe of men and women who care about other people as much as I do, that understand this stronger mission, help them see success, help them reach their goals, and you'll stumble upon yours. And that became my mission that year, because again, if I had just focused on dollars and cents, like, what's my paycheck this week? What's my paycheck this week? How many coaches are, doing this? Like, I would have lost my mind. I would have lost the joy in the process. I truly just focused on making sure that whatever I was sharing was about helping other people, whether it had been a healthy recipe, whether it had been about, something like a mom tip, whether it had been about, a wellness tip on your journey. I wanted to add value to somebody else every single day. I didn't want to be a know-it-all. I didn't want to pretend to have all the answers, because I certainly didn't. But I wanted to help other busy moms who were yawning through the 1 hour a day they had with their kids, because that was me. I was motherhood wasn't what I thought it would be. I loved my son and I loved everything about being with him, but I was living for the weekends. I would get home from work at 6 p.m. He went to bed at 7, and I was rushing through that entire hour rather than being able to be present and enjoy it with him, because I was tired. And I just knew this is not what I want motherhood to look like for me, and I'm going to rewrite my story. And it didn't mean that I necessarily wanted to be the stay-at-home mom that was home all day with them, but I certainly didn't want to only spend an hour a day with my kids. I wanted them to see me pouring my passion and soul into other people. I wanted them to see that I was passionate about what I did, and it didn't mean that, there was going to be sacrifices. They didn't always get mommy, because mommy had to do things that was going to help give me more time, give back more time with them. And it all just sort of didn't really make sense to me until I got moving and I started making traction and I started building relationships with people and I started getting messages of gratitude and thanks for reaching out and helping them get started and what I had done to change their life. You guys, those are the messages you will hold with you forever. And if you don't have a place, like a safe space on your desktop or in a box that you print them off, that you keep those, you guys do that, because there are going to be hard days sometimes or hard months where you're like, I don't know if this is the right fit for me. My goals seem so far off. I want you to read those messages of gratitude from people and remember why you started this, right? Because it wasn't about the dollars and cents. It was about the people, because without the people, there is no income. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to truly value people and enjoy the process. And so that's what I tell my coaches. Fall in love with the process of helping people. Help people reach their goals and you'll stumble upon yours. That has to be the magic ingredient, you guys. It's not just about, what will they do for me kind of thing. Because if that's anywhere in your head, it's going to be very difficult to get success in this, because you have to separate, their outcome from yours almost. You need to just work on building strong relationships and caring about them, regardless if they ever sell a challenge pack, regardless if they ever lose a pound, regardless if they ever, reship for home direct, love them where they are, because you never know where they're at in their journey. Had I joined Carrie and Aaron a year prior, I don't know if I would have seen this amount of success that I did, because I don't think I was ready. Like that why hadn't quite smacked me in my face yet. I wasn't unhappy enough. Like Summer always talks about, you have to hate something so much before you're willing to change. I don't think I hated going to work and sitting there and doing nothing all day, until one day it just smacked me in the face and I realized I am meant for more than this. Like I'm going to rewrite my story. I'm not going to be the mom who goes to work every day and is unfulfilled, because I watched my parents do that. They still do that. They show up every single day, rain or shine, sick or healthy, and they hate their job. And I don't want that. I would do this for a fraction of the income that I make, just because it brings me joy, over sitting at that desk every day feeling miserable. And the last thing I'll say, and then I want you guys to be able to ask some questions, but I did a video in the Beachbody Champions page too. It keeps getting bumped up, so it might be up kind of close to the top, but they'd asked me to talk about fear, because that's really been like a passion project of mine, because a lot of times I think what holds us back is truly, fear. What's on the other side of the unknown. Fear is unknown. Like we don't know how the story ends, so we don't really want to take the leap. And a lot of this stemmed from the Elizabeth Gilbert podcast that we had earned in January as a Success Club qualifier. And she just really spoke to me. If you've never read Big Magic, it's a great book. And she really talked about, just living your most creative life, but you can't do that if fear is paralyzing you, so fear sitting in the front seat of your bus, you have to kick it to the back. Fear can come along with you on your journey to help you navigate, dangerous situations. And fear is a real thing, but if it's holding you back from your goals and living your best life, you're never going to get there, because you won't even allow yourself to take that step, because you're too terrified of how it might go, but you don't even know how it's going to go because you haven't had the conversation. And so what I said in my video on the Beachbody Champions page is, for me, fear looked more like waking up a year from that day I made the decision to connect with Carrie and Aaron. My fear for me looked more like waking up a year from now and still sitting in that chair, because I was so unhappy and so miserable in that job. And I just knew that I had more to give people. I had more time to give my family. So fear for me was waking up, still sitting in that seat, and not in a growth environment, not challenged, bored out of my mind. And so sending a message to somebody and asking them if they'd like to join me in living a healthier, more fulfilling life no longer was scary. Because scary for me was the reality of what the rest of my life was going to look like if I didn't kick fear to the back of the van and go for it. And along the way, I filled my bus with a lot of amazing people and a lot of incredible transformation stories, and, a life where I get to live by design. I get to decide how I want to spend my days. And that's truly a gift, because I told fear, take a hike, sit in the back. I don't know how this is going to end. I don't know what the response of this other person is going to be. But if I never ask, the answer is always going to be no. Okay, I want to let you guys ask questions, because I could probably yap your ear off all night.
Thank you so much, guys. If you want to unmute yourself and ask, or you can write it in the chat, whichever you prefer. Go for it.
Did I begin helping people by running free groups, etc.? So, okay, well, I always do free groups. I still do, you guys. Like, free groups, here's how I want you to think of free groups. Free groups are an amazing way for you to introduce the coaching aspect to people, right? Because they don't know what we do. They have no idea what we do. Like, they see us on social media, but they don't quite understand what it is that we actually do. So your free groups are an opportunity to add value to people without any expectation of them doing anything other than joining your group and getting a lot of amazing content, and for you to build a relationship with them. I have a lot of coaches run free groups and then they're disappointed that like nobody joined them the next month. And I'm like, your free group is your funnel. It's just a way for you to build relationships. Like for me, free groups typically have like a 3 to 5 month lag, right? So like they might join me in January, and then in May or June, they actually come on and join me for like a challenge pack. So that's up to you to continue to maintain that relationship. But it's a way to kind of connect with people and use your passions, right? Like really narrow down on your niche market, which is pretty cool. So if you're like, I have a coach right now, like she's really into like shabby chic, like taking old furniture and like sanding it down. And I was like, why don't you run like a DIY group for that? Like just invite people, like who's got an old piece of furniture and who wants to learn how to take it and make it beautiful? And she's like, how does that relate to what I do? I was like, well, it doesn't really, but it allows for you to build a relationship, and you're narrowing in your niche group. So now you've got a group full of people that are shabby chic people, and you're building it. You could build a team of people that are exactly like you, right? So like, you don't have to get stuck in thinking clean eating, crock pots, sugar detox. Now, I think those are great, and I'm going to share with you guys in a minute. I did a lot of food-based challenges because that is a passion for me. But if you have a hobby, gardening, if it's, like a morning warriors or like spiritual, your morning miracle kind of routines, like invite those people in. I did an Operation Organization challenge in January. And now organization, as you guys can see behind me, is not a strength of mine, but I'm an accountability person. So I thought, let me get a group of people that we can hold each other to it. We sort of followed like 21 spaces in 21 days, and they weren't somewhere kind of big. Like I kind of set like all of us up for failure, which I learned. You learn as you go. I'm like, oh, like that was ambitious. Like garage was one day big. Like, come on, guys. But so I'm like, okay, I learned. But so here's sort of my funnel, you guys. When I started, I dove in really with like a 5-day challenge, Shakeology challenge. So people purchased 5 days of Shakeology, and I ran them through really a clean eating challenge, right? I didn't have anybody that like jumped on board with a challenge pack from there, but I got people interested in Shakeology, right? So plant the seed, keep your lists, all those people, build those relationships. But when I finished my first 5 weeks of T25 and I shared my results, I posted about my next challenge group was going to start. And you would need to commit to these things, T25 and Shakeology. And at the same time, I had just finished like a 5-day challenge. That was the first thing I did. And then maybe one or two of them went on. I shouldn't say none of them. Maybe one or two of them went on because I had like 10 people in that Shakeology challenge. And then most were people that had just really been watching. People in my hot market, people that knew me, my former teammates, people I used to work with at University of Buffalo or Ohio University, like people that were like, all right, like I know her, whatever she's doing, she can commit to it. Like I can do it too. Like that's typically who you'll really help first. Like people you already know and trust, right? And then what I do now, so here's sort of how my system works, and it works for me because it keeps my funnel constantly full. And if it's not full, I have to really take a hard look at myself and why it's not full, right? Like what am I doing that's not giving me, like, am I not within my niche market? Am I not connecting with people? Am I not relating to people that are on my page? Like you have to really evaluate. Self-evaluation is huge for me. And I do it every day, but it's usually after like I have an application to something and no one's applying and I'm like, well, wait a second, like what's going on? So usually I do the first Monday of the month, that first week I do a free challenge. And then the second Monday of the month, I do a 10-day Shakeology challenge. And then the fourth Monday of the month, my 30-day challenge starts. Okay. So free challenge is the first week. You guys just, again, relationship building. My goal for some of those people is to maybe join me for a 10-day challenge the following month, like inviting some of those people that you really connected with, because I like Shakeology challenges because it meets people where they are and it introduces them to our nutrition first, not just like, I feel like some people get really overwhelmed when they dive in and try to do it all at the same time. So that works really well for me. And some people purchase a challenge pack, but I'm like, we're just focusing on nutrition for the next 10 days. Like, I don't even want you to start your fitness program yet. I have them do that in the next 30 days. And my people see, I just posted today, like I have a girl that did that. She's down like 6 pounds in like 2 weeks. But I think it's because I didn't overwhelm her, like we just sort of took it slow. We took it at our pace. And I find my retention is better that way too. Cause like, I don't know about you guys, but when you get overwhelmed, like I turn inward and I just like totally retreat and I stop engaging and I give up. And I've just kind of found that along the way. So I just did a healthy toddler kids meals group, which was really fun. Because that's a passion of mine too. Like I follow baby-led weaning with both of my kids. And so that's a question I get a lot of, like, talk to me about baby-led weaning. And so I just, with a couple of my downline coaches, and this is something for you guys to know as your up and coming leaders, is to understand who are your coaches, what are their strengths, and how can you pull them in to help you, right? Like give them a small win, like a confidence boost. So I pulled in 2 of my coaches that have very similar passions about like food for their kids as I do. And we planned the document together, and all 3 of us were leaders in the group. And a lot of them have built some incredible relationships, but I don't know that they would have taken that leap on their own. Like some people leap on their own, and then others need a little bit of like, let's lock arms and do this together. And I'm already running a free group, but rather than me now always thinking, it's only going to be clean eating, it's only going to be clean eating, like I want to make sure I'm touching on my niche market. Like, what do my people want? And we had like 300 people in that group, which means that it's obviously a huge interest. Like, we've nailed our niche market, right? So now I know in my challenge groups to weave in more like family meals. Like, what are your kids eating? Like, what are you putting on your kids' plates? Well, like sometimes with the challenge groups, we'll have like, show us what your kids are eating. And not that my kids don't eat mac and cheese or chicken nuggets, because they do, but sort of like, let's limit those to a few days a week, and let's try to beat that and weave in other stuff. But that's all about that's the relationship people, you guys, that I think when you're thinking about these pieces, again, the return on your investment time isn't maybe immediate. It is definitely helping you to build a strong relationship, which is the foundation of any successful organization, you guys, is that relationship. So I'm totally fine if it takes somebody 2 years to join me. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. I want you when you're ready. And you know how to find me. I don't get annoyed when they ask me questions and never purchase anything. No, like that's my job. Like, it's to provide value to people, to answer their questions and field their questions. Of course, like honoring your own time and managing your inbox and all of those things. But I'm not just like, oh, they've been messaging me for 8 months and they're never going to order anything. No, because if I just chase all that, you guys, the joy is gone in it for me. I want to help these women, again, not yawn through the 1 hour day with their kids, be able to balance meal planning, prepping, and provide healthy foods for their kids. Like if I could do it, this hot mess mom can do it, I know that a lot of other moms can do it too. Everybody's way more organized than I am. Okay, I see some more questions here. So here's my thing with the 10-day. So you guys, sometimes I change it up. Like, again, I post, I don't know if you guys, any of you others are in operation duplication, but like, I just have to like fail through things, and for a long time, the 10-day challenge was incredible for me. Like I would have 10 people in there and 5 would upgrade to challenge packs. And it was just like a really well-oiled wheel, for lack of better words, but it was a really great funnel system. But a lot of it was about the relationship you were building. You were giving them a small win too. Like they were seeing results fast. They were connecting with the group. They were falling in love with the team. And they were like, I don't want it to end. They had like FOMO, like we're going, who's coming with us? And then I tried 5 days. And what I found with 5 days is that I got people that wanted quick fixes. And so they didn't continue on. They wanted 5 days of focus. And they got great results, but they were like, that's all I wanted. Like I've got a big event this weekend and I just really needed to be on track for 5 days. Getting somebody through the weekend and kind of helping them see like, this is a lifestyle a little longer. 10 days seems to be like the magic place for me. It is a little bit more expensive. I find that like my new coaches like to invite to 5 days because it seems a little more affordable, but and I never really did, because I think I did a good job of sharing about the why, not the what, get a lot of price objections. Do you know what I mean? So that's always just really been more successful for me. So Michelle, you found the same thing with the 10 and the 5. So I just found, okay, 5 days were great in exposing them, but it wasn't yielding the same results as a 10-day was for me. It's amazing that 5 extra days made that much of a difference, but it really did for me. And it still does. They turn into longer customers because, they get through the weekend. They have more time to plug in, to really think about things. And I mean, 5 days on Shakeology, you guys, most of them have just figured out the recipe that they like, and they didn't like dump out half the shake, like, it takes people 3 or 4 recipes before they figure out how they like it. And so if you only have 5 days with them, they get to the end, they're like, it's not worth the money, So a little more skin in the game too, maybe. Now, usually my 10-day people, I still have people that will just buy 10 packets, but usually for me, my goal is Success Club 10 by the 10th of the month. So I usually have people like I'm inviting now for next month, right? And my goal is to get them ordered early in the month. and they'll start in the 10-day and then they'll roll into my 30-day with me. So I had 5 people that started with me in the 10-day because they got their challenge packs ordered early in the month. And then now they're in the 30-day. And then of course that still leaves me time to invite to my 30-day because not everybody's ready then. I don't just like scrap it, which is why I like to have those 2 options. And I find that's good for my coaches too, rather than everybody pushing for Success Club at the end of the month, you know? How long do I work each day? So every day is kind of different. I mean, especially with the kids. My kids are in school half day. Part of that's honestly, I mean, it's for them, but it's for me too. And it's not necessarily always so I can just work. I need that. I need that balance. I need time not chasing my kids. And that might sound really mean to some people that might be like, how does she not want to spend all day with her kids? But, you know, I get them, you know, they're there through lunch and then I pick them up. So we have all afternoon together and evening, of course. So I usually work about 3 hours a day is about average. Now I do have an assistant that helps me behind the scenes do things that honestly I just don't love, but need to get done. That typically includes like some like graphics and things. It's not that I don't love recognizing people. I just really struggle with those pieces and it takes me a really long time to make a graphic. So, you know, Summer was always such a great mentor in saying, if somebody can do it 80% as good as you can, outsource it. And it took me a long time to really outsource. I was being really like protective and I was like, oh, I don't know, but it's been such a blessing. So about 3 hours a day. And I usually, my power hour is done first thing in the morning. I'm just not a morning workout person. I mean, I work out in the morning, but it's not like a 5 a.m. warrior kind of thing. I do my personal development. I do my like Power 3 tracker. I'm still very loyal to that. I use Teamsy really, but you know, 3-3-3, checking with my coaches. I have a plan for every day. And then checking in my challenge groups. I have a post that goes up automatically in the morning. So I'll kind of check in that real fast. And then I come back in the afternoon and I'll check in. But a lot of my time is spent talking to new people and spending a lot of time in my messenger speaking to people and building relationships. So that's about average. I mean, some days is a little less, some days is a little bit more. It really depends on where we're at, what we're doing, who's pushing for what. You know, if I've got coaches pushing for big goals, I'm probably putting in a little bit more time. But again, I don't look at it as time that I want to be spending, you know. Let me see. Favorite PD. So probably my all-time favorite PD is The Go-Giver. If you guys have ever read that, I just think that really speaks a lot to me and who I am and really made all of this make a lot of sense to me. I do really enjoy reading leadership stuff. So Maxwell is one of my favorite leadership guys, but sometimes I have to be in the right mood for him. He can be heavy a little bit. So I have to really, you know, be in the right mindset for him. But The Go-Giver is my favorite. Right now I'm actually reading, this is like I said, I like reading psychology too, leadership stuff, but this is called Inner Excellence. And he actually was my husband at Notre Dame. They have like a director of mental conditioning for the coaches, like basically somebody who runs PD for them. And they had him come in and he was a professional sports player. So he talks about like how to be a better leader, how to work with your teams. And it's a little psychology heavy, but I really like psychology. So I kind of choose that kind of reading. I did just read The Gifts of Imperfection, which I don't know if you guys have read. I think that's Brene, right? Brene. I had never read any of her books and I did really like that one. And yeah. Okay. Let me see what else we have here. Do I have a like page? I do. It's just my name. And so you guys, that's really where I do most of my business building is over there. I started on my personal page. I was pretty much on my personal page for like the first 5 or 6 months. And then I moved over to my like page, mostly because I think I just kind of came up in the time and error. That's just what you did. Like you just moved over to your like page. But if you're seeing a lot of success in your personal page, don't abort mission, you guys. I really kind of think I don't want to say I wish I had waited because I've built an incredible network of people over on my like page. But when I did that, I kind of like totally abandoned my personal page, which I don't think really hurt me so much because I think a lot of people just came over and started following me on one page. But I was working full time. I was so overwhelmed with managing like a million different platforms, and I still do. Like I really only use Facebook. I'm so sporadic on Instagram because I just don't really understand it. And which isn't really a good excuse, but I get overwhelmed again, that overwhelmed, and then you draw inward and you just like give up on things. I just stories and all of that. Like, I know those build relationships, but I'm really good at talking to people. And I just feel like that's where my time should be spent. So yeah, my like page is, you can reach more people over there, but however, it's a business. So in order to reach more people, you have to pay to be over on you have to run ads and things. And my budget was very small when I first started. I would probably about $40 a month is what I would put into my like page. Now my budget is a little larger, but it gives you more information, so I can really see who's following me. I can see who I'm reaching. So it does help me, and to like make sure I'm actually reaching like my niche group. And I just did an ad last month. I hadn't done ads in a while because I just felt like my return on my investment wasn't good. And again, there's a learning curve there, and I needed to really go back and kind of figure it all out. But I just ran an ad last month and I had tremendous success with it. So I was like, I don't know if like there was a turn in an algorithm or if like I figured it out for the first time in a long time. But I had 10 people purchase challenge packs from that ad that are in my group, and they're incredible people. They were complete cold market people. Like, we didn't have a single mutual friend. And that's when your ads are kind of working, because you're like, wow, you talk to them and you're like, holy moly, they sound like, this is weird. Like, you're like my sister from another mister. But my group is on fire right now because it just makes that relationship piece so much easier. But, it's time. I mean, I show up there every day, or at least try to on the weekends. I know you're not as plugged in. By talking to them on the phone or through Messenger, a little bit of both. So what I found, like, especially with cold market people, right? Like, I have them fill out an application and they give me like their phone number, their email, and like they give me basically I'm taking the back and forth out, right? What are your goals? What do you do for fitness? Like, they're giving me all of that. And I can share like I use Woofu, which is like a third party form. And Kelly probably shared similar stuff with you guys, but I can share with you the questions that I ask. And so they give me so much detail that then when I'm able to reply to them, I found with my cold market, it's not going back and forth anymore. Like, if they've taken the time to fill out that form and give me such in-depth information, like if they're ready to go. And not everybody answers me, but I think I had like 30 people fill out my form, and 10 of them, have moved on or they're in my group with challenge packs. So, they give me, again, such detailed information that I don't find that I need to, hey, I'm Courtney, like, tell me about your family. Like, we kind of have to do that a little backwards. I don't generally do that when I'm like forming with somebody, but they gave me so much information. And so I just give them the cost, and I end with, not just the cost. Like, I can send these to Kelly. You guys can see like my script, but, and I kind of alter them based on what they told me in, the email. But, it's at the end, it will say, well, here's the cost, and we start on this date, are you ready to go? Are you ready to commit? And when they reply yes, like, I know that they're actually like, they weren't turned off by cost or whatever it is, and some will reply and they want more information. And those are probably people that'll be like my follow-ups for a couple months down the road, or they just need to follow me a little bit longer. So, I can send you that stuff. And yeah, you guys, the one thing I would just, when find a system and don't be married to it, be willing to divorce it and remarry if you need to, like, when I first started, I had one challenge group where I added to 2 times a month, because that's what I could manage. I was working full time. Like, I had one group, and my coaches were all in there. It eventually became a big challenge group, and it had 2 start dates. And I didn't really like worry about like having scheduled posts. I was just like being the ultimate challenger. I was showing up every day. I was sharing my results. I was cheering them on front and center. And that worked for me, and it still works for me. And now, I have a little bit, then I realized, okay, I need to move to just like a once a month start date, because I just felt like twice a month was hard to manage sometimes. Like, I felt like I was constantly posting ads on my Facebook, and I didn't want to. So by just having like one ad, it gave me time to really build relationships with people. And so that really worked better for me. So I moved over to like a 30-day group. So I just shared this in our Operation Duplication group about the Facebook tracker and like the Facebook groups. Again, don't be married to your system. Be willing to divorce it and revise it, or go through marriage counseling or whatever and figure it out. So I had really aborted mission from my Facebook groups, because I started using the app, the Challenge Tracker app, through like the September health bet, and it was great. And I just felt like oh, I'm not so plugged into the computer all day. Like I felt really kind of free from Facebook, which felt really good. And my challengers were sort of feeling the same way. Now, you guys, the fall was a really different time on Facebook. So I think people didn't want to be there. So I moved over to the app, and I pretty much like just started running my groups solely on the app. I created the Rock Solid Fit Club, which is our team name. And I just would add all my new customers in there, keeping in mind that original 30-day start date. So like it's like adding new people once a month. But the energy sort of came in waves. I felt it a little hard to build community over there. People loved the tracking, like shake, workout, done. But they didn't really want to come back and like see what I was posting about and like add value to it, which was, okay, because my people were getting incredible results. And I was a better coach because I was like, oh, like, wow, Sally, 7 days of workouts this week. Like you crushed it, Whereas in Facebook, how did your week go? Tell me all about it. I knew the answers. I didn't have to like dig deeper for information. They couldn't avoid me, right? Like, hey girl, I see you didn't work out this week. Like everything okay kind of thing. So now I just sort of bridge the gap. Now I have, because I just needed that community back. I just felt like we're missing that. And I was kind of thinking about like people that would join my team, how would they run, that would all be all they would know for challenge groups. So I'm kind of thinking about how to revise that. So I had everybody in my Rock Solid Fit Club for a good 5 months. Like I was just running the app. And then in March, I was starting the 21-day fix. So I said, hey, who wants to do the 21-day fix and join me? And I had about like 100 and some odd people over in the app, and 60 of them were like, we want to do the fix. Like everybody was kind of looking for direction. I think like they were ready to like, it was March. So we started great, and then people fell off a little bit, and it was like, all right, time to go. So I got everybody back on track, and I was like, let me see how this goes. Let's bridge the gap, right? So in the Facebook group, I would build community. Like that's where I would go live, and I would share tips like same stuff I was sharing in the app, but you can just be more interactive on Facebook. People know what to do on Facebook, right? But they had to log in the app. You have to log your shake, and you have to log your workout, but I want you spending your time in Facebook. So like in the app, you're just opening it up and checking it. Like don't scroll the feed, don't worry about what's there, because it's just probably sweaty selfies and workout selfies. Like that was really all that was going on over there, which no one's scrolling that, like that's not of interest. Even though I was adding value, people weren't seeing it. So anyways, we bridged the gap, and that's been working really great for me. So I have the Rock Solid Fit Club on the app, which is just for logging and tracking, really for me as the coach to see what the heck they're doing. And then all those people are also like in a Facebook group, like a bigger one. So that's my ongoing group where I can share, information to customers. Like I just actually asked, like, does anyone, like I have a box of Shakeology here. I was like, does anybody want to try another flavor? So you can kind of connect with your current customers, or maybe you've got someone that only ever tried chocolate, didn't love it, but they're worried to order vanilla, so I can kind of, and there's like so many, they're like, oh, I've been really wanting to try cafe latte. I'm like, all right, well, I make them pay. I do make them pay $5 for a packet. I used to give packets away, but I just found like people didn't take it seriously. So I charge them $5 for a packet plus my accountant like that better. And I don't charge them for shipping. So I just, I mail it, but they can get a packet, they can try it. And that's really helped with retention for me. Cause like, oh, I'm bored with chocolate, but I don't really want to try cafe latte. I don't know if I'll like it. So I do that, or just share promotions. Like, you guys, this is the last week to skip of the All Access Challenge Pack if you don't already have it. And because they know and they trust me, like I can share that kind of stuff there because I'm weaving that in between like all the other value that I'm added. It's not like it's just all sales on there. You know what I mean? And then my 30-day group. So I have like a 30-day focus. Like they are all in, they're committed. They have to commit to 30 days of Shakeology and a program. And so that's what I just had start today. And so those are new customers. And so they're starting with me there. We're really diving in. It's a small group. And then they all roll over to my Rock Solid Fit Club, right? So the app has really just become tracking in business. And then Facebook I'm using for community. And I don't know, in 5 months, this might not work for me anymore. So we'll have to find a new plan. But that's just, sort of flexibility. But ever since I started, you guys, I have run a group every single month. I have had a place I was inviting to every single month. And if I didn't, I don't know that I would have hit Success Club, because how would I have followed up with people? Like when somebody was like, I'm interested in Shakeology, and you don't have anywhere to, you know what I mean? Like, how do you, I was always like, how do I follow? Like, hey girl, you still interested in Shakeology? Like now I can say, hey, my group is starting. It's a fun place for us to work together and plug into your goals. I know you're interested in, getting started with T25 and Shakeology. So, it's going to start next week, and Friday's really the deadline to get your order in. And then that just works better for me. Like, it gives me a good reason to follow up with people. And that has really helped. Without those dates, I would have struggled with the follow-up piece without dates, but now it's more systematic. Everybody has deadlines. When you're ordering your Girl Scout cookies, like, you got to get your order in. Like, that gives you reason to follow up with people. And Girl Scout cookies was probably a bad example, but I don't know why that came. I must want cookies, but run groups, you guys, and don't be afraid to do it. Team up with somebody. Fail forward through it, you guys. Just know that you're not going to fail anybody, right? Like, you're going to add value to people every single day. That's what my coaches will tell me. I'm afraid I'm going to fail them. I'm like, you're not going to fail them. Just be the ultimate challenger. Show up every day, do the things and inspire them. You obviously inspired them enough to get them here. I can't imagine you could do anything short of continuing to inspire them.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I think I just started the free groups again because I had taken a break from them and realized, like, it really helped me to have my funnel, so right now I'm trying to figure out, like, a rhythm, but we've got a couple of people who've been teaming up. So that's really cool. And I like how you shared that. Like, I like what was cool is the story you shared at the beginning about your journey. There's so many, like, seeds that were planted from your coach or your parents or the mentor you had at your job that you could see were sown in you for the business. And, like, that's kind of what we do with our social media, like sowing those seeds, and that's just, like, I really appreciate you coming tonight to share and even giving ideas of what you do. It's just good to hear how other people do things because we all are different,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't be afraid to try things. Like, I have coaches that do things way different than I do, even though they came through this. They're like, that didn't work for me. It's like, it's fine. Find what works for you. Teach your downlines, like, I don't think there's one way to be successful in this. There's a lot of ways, but really just be willing to love people, Yes. I mean, that's really the relationship piece.
Yeah. I mean, I like the whole thing you said about helping them reach your goals so that you will stumble and you'll stumble across yours. Like that. I mean, I've heard you say that before, but I wrote it down because I think that's very true. Like, I think that's a big takeaway just to reflect on that whenever we're doing anything. So thanks again. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Sorry, I chatted too long.
You're fine. Sometimes we could stay on super late just talking, so it's all good. But I agree, yeah. It was really great having you, and I'll get the recording up, guys, tomorrow morning. So thank you again, Courtney.
You're very welcome. I'll send you that stuff, Kelly, so you can share with your team.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, bye.
Bye.